In this video today, we're going to look at the Nexigo 2K Quad High Definition N940 Webcam. We're going to start off by looking at it in OBS 26.1.1, running at 64-bit. Okay, so we're here in OBS on 26.1.1 is the current software that I'm running, 64-bit Windows. Now we're going to go over here. I've got two cameras set up. And you go here and video capture device. So I've got two video capture devices that I'm going to show you. The first one is a Lenovo Easy Camera. That's my internal webcam in my laptop that I'm using. I'm going to show you the properties on that. You can go ahead and click configure video, and it went off screen, so I'm going to bring it in, and you can make video adjustments to the brightness, contrast, hue, saturation, etc., and camera control. And one of the things that I can do in camera control is mess with the low light compensation. But as you see that, well, here, let me apply it. Makes no difference. So to configure the video, the low light compensation didn't really make a difference, which it makes sense because I have pretty good lighting. Even though you can see right here it seems kind of dark, and maybe down here it also seems a little dark, but I assure you the lighting's pretty decent. Now I have this on custom resolution and FPS. You can put it on device default, but for this one I have a maximum of 1280 by 720, and I'm running the highest frames per second possible. Also, I'm running motion JPEG, and I'm running a partial on the color range. I've found that these settings work best with this particular camera. Now, the Nexigo. The Nexigo N940, you can see that, configure the video. You can make more adjustments with this one than you can the internal laptop camera. Camera control, we have zoom settings that we can change here. We cannot make them auto. There is autofocus, auto exposure. There will be no pan or tilt. Once again, we have the low light compensation. Which makes no difference. And we're going to scroll down and look at the resolution and FPS on this one. I am running the device default. And now the reason for that is I can go into custom, and I'll show you. And we can change the resolution. We can make it 2592 by 1944. We could make it 1920 by 1080, and we'll get, you can get up to 60 frames. Sorry, you can get up to 60 frames per second with this one here. Or you can go for the highest resolution and get 30. Motion JPEG for video format. Color space is common. Partial full for color range, that's common. And all the rest of the options. Now, the reason why I do not use this on custom is because it disables the zoom feature. So I can go ahead and reach up there, and I know that if I press the front of the webcam, that the zoom feature won't work, but on device default, I can reach up there, and you see I can change the zoom. Now there's going to be a lag. Once you get to the very final setting, you only get 3 or 4 settings, and then the camera will go out. You have to hold the front of the webcam button, and then it'll take you back, and you can start zoom all over. It's not frozen. You have to hold the front of that. It looks like a magnifying glass. You have to hold the front of it. It's where the camera LED sits in center and lets you know that the camera is on and working. So we're going to leave that on default. I'm going to go ahead and show you side-by-side comparison. So you can see those right here. And you've got the Lenovo EasyCam on the left, and you've got the Nexigo 2K Quad High Definition N940 on the right. Now another thing that I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to leave those on there and see if we can just bring this back up. No, I'm going to have to get rid of them. I'm going to go back in these settings here. I'm going to go in the filters, and I want to show you chroma key. So we're going to chroma key each of these, and I need to zoom in some more. There we go. Don't really need to adjust too much here. It would make adjustments to the other settings, but most of the time you just end up making it worse. But don't worry, there's a default button to take you back. Okay, so go ahead and bring the videos back, and you can see that we're chroma keyed. Now what you're going to notice is that in these areas here, and you can see possibly in my hair and in other areas, it's going to have some of this flickering and this static in it. Whereas in the Nexigo, you don't really have as much of that. And it's much more clear and crisp. I'll turn my chair a little bit so you can see with movement. But it's pretty good. And that's basically just a few of the settings and things that you can do in OBS. Of course, there's a lot of other adjustments that you can make, but I just showed you some of the most common and ones that might help you make a decision on whether the Nexigo camera is right for you. Next, we're going to look at the Nexigo N940 and Skype. The version software is 8.68.0.96. The app version is 15.68.96.0. Okay, we're here with the Skype application open, and you'll go ahead and you'll click on the 3 dots in the right hand corner. That'll bring up the settings, and in the settings menu you can go down to audio and video, and then you'll be able to see your camera. You'll have some camera options. You'll be able to choose your background effect, webcam settings, and more. So what I'm going to show you is right now I have some uploaded templates or uploaded background effects. That's what we're currently looking at. Here's a standard one provided by Skype, and then no background effect chosen. This is a green screen behind me. I actually have pretty decent lighting, and you can see that there's some dark areas here. Now, this is my Lenovo Easy Camera. It's my internal laptop camera, and I'm basically showing you this one for comparison. I'm not going to go into the webcam settings for this one, but I will for the Nexigo. So we can go ahead and we can select that one now, and you'll see that it's much brighter and much cleaner and clearer. And I'll show you the Skype background effect and then my uploaded one. You'll notice between the cameras that sometimes around maybe your chair or your body or your head, if you sit in front of the green screen, you won't see it when none is chosen, but you will see it, especially with the lighter backgrounds. You'll see some chroma keying. And it happens with both cameras. It seems like the lower quality cameras and lower resolution cameras kind of have an edge here, because they don't pick up on it as much. Now let's go ahead and go into the webcam settings, and here you can adjust brightness, contrast, saturation, and things like that. I'm not going to get into those settings. Quite frankly, I don't think it's necessary to mess with them. It looks pretty good. The whiteness balance here is auto. These other features are not auto. I could try to turn them on, but it doesn't have that capability, so you'll notice that that won't work. Now for camera control, I do have it's autofocus, same thing for the exposure. There is no auto for pan or tilt. Now for the zoom, there's no auto zoom. You can manually touch the front of the webcam and get zoom, but I've noticed that going into the settings and using the zoom feature in this way, you can get way more customization options. So I've noticed that you've got from 0 to 23 settings of zoom capabilities. And 23. So we'll go to 24 and you'll see 24 and beyond is pointless. And then back to 23, we'll start to zoom out. The other thing on here is low light compensation. In other programs, this makes a big difference. It doesn't seem, and I'll apply it, doesn't seem to make a big difference in Skype. So basically it's personal preference and whatever you decide. And that's pretty much it for Skype. We're going to finalize looking at the Nexigo webcam by looking at some of its remaining features in the camera app. We are now in our camera app. We'll go to the top and go to settings. We'll start with photos. I'm using my Lenovo Easy Camera, my internal laptop camera. By default, the highest setting is 0.9 megapixels with a 16:9 aspect ratio, 1280 by 720. The lowest in a 16:9 is 0.2 megapixel. And the lowest setting in a 4.3 is 0.02 megapixel. We'll move now to the video and scroll down to the video quality settings. By default, the highest is selected at 720p with a 16:9 aspect ratio and 30 frames per second. The lowest in a 16:9 is 360p. And in a 4.3, 120. We'll move now to the Nexigo N940. The The Nexigo N940 video quality is 1440p 16:9 by 30 frames per second. This is the highest setting. We will go to the lowest setting in 16:9 at 360p at 30 frames per second. Then when we move to 720p 16:9 at 30 frames per second. And finally, we will look at 1080p. This is 1080p 16:9 at 30 frames per second. And then 1080p 16:9 at 60 frames per second. You will notice that it will black out. You will have to go back to the photo or camera option and then back to video. And the application will make the adjustment. This only happens with the 1080 16:9 because it runs at 16 frames per second. Whereas if you choose the 30 frames per second option, this will not happen. Or you can elect to use the highest quality settings with the lowest frames per second if you do not have or anticipate as much motion in your video for higher quality. Looking at the photo quality, we will switch to the camera now. Looking at photo quality, the highest is the 3.7 megapixel 16:9 aspect ratio, which is 2560 by 1440. The lowest that we have is a 0.2 megapixel 16:9 640 by 360. The lowest that you have in a 4.3 is 0.3 megapixel. I'll finish up by switching over to the audio. I'm hearing the audio, and what I'm going to do for you is play 3 distinct audio samples from the Toner TC, the one that I've recorded this video with, from the Realtek High Definition Audio Microphone Array, the internal laptop microphone basically, and then finally the Nexigo N940 2K Webcam audio file that will come from the Nexigo webcam itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the microphones 1 foot away and record audio samples with each, and then I'll go ahead somewhere in the neighborhood between 2 and 4 inches, and I'll record another with each. And what you're hearing now is the Toner TC about 1 foot away. You're now hearing the Realtek High Definition Audio Microphone Array 1 foot away. Now you're hearing the Nexigo N940 1 foot away. I'm now between 2 and 4 inches away from the Nexigo camera, which wouldn't be optimal recording conditions as people would be staring at your mouth, but it gives you at least an idea of the audio from different distances. I'm now within a few inches of the Realtek High Definition Audio microphone. And now I'm back to being within a few inches of the Toner TC 2030 audio device that I've used to record this video. I hope I covered everything you were looking for me to cover in this video. And if you found the video useful, go ahead and please leave a like. If you like my other related content, please go ahead and subscribe, but only if you want to. Good luck with your webcam, and we'll see you guys next time.